Hello guys, I am Zachariah, the ghostwriter. This is the finale, part 4 of Mountain MALEBOHO, the mountain of my ancestral story. Now, those people, when they pointed at me, I assume that because of I was wearing a DA t-shirt, they understood that where I'm going, I am not going to be welcomed, because those are our forefathers, those are people who dealt with apartheid, those are people who suffered, during those days of apartheid. So they are not going to be pleased if they see me wearing, the DA t-shirt, or maybe, those guys, they saw that my face was not familiar. Maybe they knew the other 5 guys and they understood that I'm new and these guys might be taking me to the mountain and I won't come back because of I know nothing about that mountain. And we arrived on that mountain, as I said on the previous video, that we climbed the stairs and we went on top of the pipe. But when we were about to cross the river, I saw that the river was full, and when I get a bit far from it, it looks like we can cross it, but when I get closer, the river looked like it was full. We had full moon there, so I can see clearly what was going on there, and I didn't want to risk it because of I was the only sober person. The other 5 guys, they were high because of they were drinking, Taiwan. So they decided that we should camp next to the stairs. And exactly next to the stairs, that's where we have that round circle that I can call it a dell. And somehow these guys decided that they should send me there to go and fetch water because of they don't know me and it's the first time I go with them to that mountain. But those guys, they pretended to be the experts, like they've been there before. But I can tell that those guys never spent a night there. I didn't want to argue with those guys. I went there because of I understand how things work. You don't just get to the mountain or get to the water and start getting water without praying. I went down to my knees and I prayed to my God for protection, so that whatever which is in the water which can harm me should not harm me. If there is anything bad which can happen to me, shouldn't. I was praying for protection. People think maybe sometimes when we go to mountains, rivers and caves, sometimes we only pray for material things. We don't pray for material things. Sometimes we pray for blessings here. Sometimes we pray for wisdom. Sometimes we pray for forgiveness. Sometimes we pray for aggressive patience. Sometimes we pray for, prosperity, and we pray for wisdom sometimes so that we can understand. Sometimes we pray for wisdom so that we can hear. Sometimes we pray for wisdom so that we can learn to analyze things. Sometimes we pray for wisdom so that we can learn to hear when God is talking to us. Sometimes we can pray for wisdom so that we can identify things that are not easy to be identified. And we can understand people even if they don't say stuff. We pray for those things so that God can help us, so that sometimes we can see when our enemies are attacking, so that we can defend ourselves, or we can pray so that God can bring, protection. We pray for a lot of stuff. So I prayed, and after I prayed, then I, took the water, I drank, so I can fill my stomach, so that I can, be on the same path with, the place, so I can connect with, the place, and I can vibrate with the energy, whereby when the things start shifting, when there is a certain movement, I can feel it and I can hear it and I can see it, so that all my senses can just vibrate in a way that they can alert me that there will be danger, and if we have to move, we can move, So I came back, and after I came back with water, those guys, they started making tea, and they made another Taiwan. They started drinking. But right there in the middle of the night, around past 11 to 12, those guys, they started fighting because of the prophet told those 2 guys who were left in the prophet's house stuff that we were not even told because we were outside. But one of the guys who were older than us started, questioning the guy who told me that he knows the cave because of his brother used to go to the cave. He started questioning him, because of he wanted to know what did he do and where did he go after we agreed that we will go to the mountain. It looks like, I just want to be careful with my words. It looks like the guy went somewhere somebody told the guy some stuff about us, and they gave him some stuff that when he is with us on top of the mountain, he must do certain things so that we won't come back. But now, because of those guys decided to go to their pastor that they know, the prophet that they know, he told them things, and that's why when he gave us the tea and we drank all that tea, it was for our protection. Now they started talking. The guy who's younger denied that he went somewhere. So the guy who's older, he's short-tempered. He got very angry, and the argument became physical. And it became brutal in a way that we didn't know what to do. In seconds, the guy was lifting that other young guy and he was throwing him into the fire. I had to break off the fight because I'm like, he's about to kill this guy. I don't know nothing. I don't know what's going on. So this guy who's older, he just told me that, bro, when I just relax, you don't stay here at home. You don't know what is going on around here. Let us sort out this problem. Now these 5 guys were chilling together. They were drinking whatever that they were drinking together. Now these guys are fighting. And now the older guy is telling us that the young guy went somewhere and he must confess to us. It was just something else. The situation became so bad, and at the end of the day, I was like, bruh, I understand what is going on. I understand that you are angry, but we cannot allow you to kill this guy in front of us, man. We are going to jail, we are not going to come out. Because now it becomes brutal, because now and it's threatening to throw him to that round circle. And we all know that once he goes there, there's no way he can come back. So we stopped the fight. It was just so bad, and I had to beg those 5 guys so that we can get out of the mountain and sort it out, because we were deep in the middle of the mountain. So we had to walk back and camp outside the mountain, outside the distance, maybe about maybe 500 meters from the mountain. We found a spot there, we made fire, and we camped there. But we were not far from the mountain. And this is so painful. We camped, we said early in the morning, because of now we can see, we will go back and look for that cave, right? Early in the morning, I told the guys, like, let's go, guys, so that you can show me the cave. The guys were like rounding around. I got angry. I climbed the mountain alone. I went there to that round circle. I jumped to the river. When I jumped the river is not even full. I can easily jump without getting any problem. I searched for that cave. I couldn't get the cave. And now, after about 30 minutes, the guy who I told you that his grandfather was a prophet, he felt like, no, man, we cannot just leave this guy alone, because others were starting to leave. They started to go home. They decided to go home. So he said, man, I couldn't leave you alone. So I feel like I should look for this guy, right? I was still on top of the mountain. He came back looking for me. He found me there, and he said to me, I want to tell you something, but don't be angry, because of that guy. He is the one who knows the cave. And he said he can't show you the cave, because of if he shows you the cave, you are going to be super blessed. Within 3 months, everything will change. He saw everything, but he couldn't tell me. And I can tell you, man, ever since that trip, everything became worse. Everything became from bad to worse. I couldn't find jobs like I used to find jobs. Things were bad, and I was forced to go back to Val so that I can pray. When I was there at Val, there was this other guy who looked at me and he said to me, you know what, I can help you. I know you don't have money. I will help you so that you can be blessed, you can get to where you're supposed to be, and you'll pay me when you have money. But his motive, man, was not right, because I knew how the guy was operating. He will sometimes bring women under the bridge. While he's helping them, he will demand certain stuff. And when he demands certain stuff like sleeping with them, and he will also come back and want to stay with us under the bridge and wants to start helping people. I was like, I understand, man, you see stuff, I understand you help people, but I feel like, man, I'm going to be trapped. I feel like if this guy, start mixing things and I'm and while I'm there at Val, I'm going to forever owe this guy. There are stuff and covenant that is going to make this guy that I'm going to be tied up in a way that I won't find freedom. I felt like I can pray. Things got worse when I was there at Val, man. Things got worse. And I remember, there were moments whereby guys were even telling me, like, bro, next to the train station there is a place where we get tomatoes. We used to go there and get tomatoes so we can cook those tomatoes. And, by the grace of God, even if things were bad in my life, there were people who will show up from different churches and they'll be like, man, I was just showing you in my dreams that I should come here and I will see you, I should help you with this. Or, man, I was just told that if I come to Val and I give back to someone something, my ways, will open. Things will start, becoming better in my life. In that way, they believed that if they come and help me while I was homeless there under the bridge, while I was homeless there at Val, somehow the things will light up, and people were doing that. And in that way, people were super excited to be around me. The person will be like super blessed by saying, man, I am super excited because I'm with you right now and we are talking, and man, by the grace of God, when you pray, man, don't forget me in your prayers, stuff like that. I became the guy when people arrive there, they want sent, I can easily take them to a place where they will go and get sent, and sometimes they buy me bread. That became my life. And from a person who was told that within 3 months you can be super blessed, to a person who's stuck and not knowing where will get food to eat, it was painful, but I prayed until the other prophet told me that when you leave here, don't go back to Tembisa, go to a place where they don't know you. Because I was just becoming that guy who will clean the place, who will cook for everybody, who will just cater, man. When they want water in the middle of the night because of they're afraid, I will be the guy who will take the bucket and go down to the river and fetch water for everybody. I was like becoming that guy, man, and people who want a place where they can get, the river stone, I was that guy, man, who goes down and show them where to get, those stones. When people show up there driving their fancy cars and they're told to go to a river, and do steaming and whatever around, 12:01, man, I was that guy, man, who will be bringing those stones for them. They'll be in the plastic, doing the steaming. I'm the guy with the spade there and bringing stones for them, and when they're done there, I will be the guy who will be helping them to wash the plastics. I was doing that. Sometimes when the guy, is done doing whatever they do, they just leave $40, man, you'll buy bread, man. They just leave $20, man, you'll buy bread. It was always those amounts. Nobody came there and gave me $100 or $200. It was always $10, it was always $20. But then I was grateful, because of I knew that I was helping, I was giving back, I was just helping somebody, who couldn't do things, at that time, or who didn't know how to do things. And sometimes I remember there were nights whereby people will just arrive in the middle of the night. They want to go down to the river, they're afraid to go there. I'll be there like a bodyguard, I'll be standing next to them, and I just don't know why I was doing that. I would just stand there so that they will feel comfortable, so that they will have somebody next to them, and they will pray, or they will fetch water, or they will do whatever they do. I'll be standing there. And just imagine if those guys just wanted to take me. They can easily take me because I'm separated from the other guys. Sometimes I have to walk maybe 5 to 10 minutes so that we can get to a place where I can show them Medzela Aqua and where they want to go and wash and do stuff at night. They could easily take me and go with me. And I was just that guy. Things got worse. The other guy told me that I should come back, come decide to, I'll go to a place where nobody knows me. I wanted to come back to Rosebank, place where my grandfather used to work, and my grandmother used to work here. And I felt like this was the only place where I was loved, because grandmama and granddad would always give you love, because I was down and out, man. And if you can realize, most of my videos when I'm sharing stories, man, I talk about things that happened, back in the days. And for the past 10 years, man, I just lost that power, that, what can I call it? That ferociousness of being the guy who's like more like an animal. I can just go to the cave in the middle of the night and pray, or I can just go to the mountain alone and pray. I lost all of that for the past 10 years. But this week, man, as I speak, man, I'm back, man. I'm that animal again, man. I'm that beast, man. And even if when I speak right now, man, I feel that power. Like, I can just go and spend a night somewhere, and I can easily speak about the past 3, 4, 5 years that I was so weak in a way that somebody will just call me and tell me that I'm talking to you, and I know that spiritually you are so weak when I am talking to you right now. I can feel it, but one day you will remember who you are, and when you remember who you are, you will be something else, man. And when I'm sitting down, I remember back in the days when people were saying, man, when we see you, man, you remind us, the late old saying, we see you going to different mountains alone. We see you, seeing stuff that, people can't stand for, but you will never run. You will just stand there and watch. And you are going to be that guy who will go to places where people cannot go. You will enter places where people cannot enter. I'm reminiscing about all those prophecies, and ever since that day when I was with those guys, man, I felt like I was at the crossroad whereby I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. I don't know if I should go to the mountain. And I have only a few videos where I went to mountains, but it was not the same. Sometimes I'll just go to the mountain and, get to Makupano, maybe get water or wash there, and sit for hours, and the prophet will come and give me some prophecies, and that's it. I was no longer that kind of a guy who goes to the mountain and I feel like I can camp for days, or I'll go to the river and I can camp for days. Honestly speaking, for the past 10 years, I used to go there maybe for about a day and come back. I was no longer that person who can spend 3 weeks at the river or 3 weeks at the mountain. I lost all of that. And also I remember there was this other prophet who told me that, you have a gift and you are going to be in a space whereby you will lose power. And he described it as a diamond. He said, when I see you, man, I see a diamond in you, or I see a gold, something like that. And he said, you're going to lose it, but you will regain it. And when you regain it, you will be something else. You will be untouchable. You will be so powerful. And I sat down and I reminisce about all those moments, man. And I've learned a lesson that, sometimes when they tell you not to go with a group of people, they're telling you, man, they're not joking. And I've seen how my ancestors are, man. Because I suffered that 3 months tend to be like 10 years. You see things that you are supposed to have, but you don't physically have them. You go everywhere, every prophet can tell you that they see stuff, but you don't get them. It's because of you wronged them. You did what you were not supposed to do. So they are not that forgiving, they are hard. That's one thing I realize about my ancestors. So that's why even when they protect, they seriously protect me. But I've just learned a lesson, man. They have no mercy. They don't show remorse. If they're saying this is gonna be 8, it has to be 8. Don't mix up things. I've learned that, and I've learned that if I was just humble when they told me, don't, worry much about a lot of stuff. We got you. You know, all the things that we promise that we will give you, we will give you. You know, just relax, don't worry much about how you will make your money. You know, don't stress much. But I used to be stressed so much because I didn't understand, you know, the spiritual wealth. I stress a lot about the financial wealth. I will make a video, I will speak about it. You know, and now I am, you know, realizing who I am. And I wanted to say that, guys, because ever since that trip, and I don't know what has been stopping me to go back to that mountain and look for that cave, because I know that I will find that cave. It was just there, man. Ways of our ancestors are unknown. I know the video was a bit long, but I had to share this because there's the other brother who keeps sending me WhatsApps today asking me about Val. I'll make a video about Val. I'll share some stuff about Val. And I appreciate you guys showing me love and support, man. There will be load sharing now by 8 o'clock. I think I should wrap up. Thank you.